Hey everyone, Rico Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means time for my Survivor recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, there's a lot of tension going around camp because of the Jessica vote off. Davey's feeling betrayed by Christian and Nick because in his mindset, he thought that those were his top guys. So he's wondering, what went wrong here. And Nick is close with Christian, but Christian's also close with Gabby, and Nick doesn't want everyone to know that him and Christian have this alliance going on, so he wants to shift the blame of the Jessica vote out onto Gabby. And I'm not sure exactly how Christian will feel about that, because it seems like, and this could be just the edit, it just seems like Christian and Gabby are, that they're closer than he and Nick are. And Carl is sitting there crying, visibly upset because his main alliance member is gone. And I could definitely, see where Carl's coming from. And, I feel for him. That's got to be hard, losing your only alliance member. You felt like you were on top, and now suddenly you're on the bottom. So, he has genuine emotions and thoughts. But what I don't understand is B, because she all of a sudden now hates Gabby. And her reason for hating Gabby is the fact that she says that she didn't keep her on the loop of the Jessica vote. Gabby's playing a very smart game, because had she had told B about her plan to get Jessica voted off, B would have went right to Jessica and told her all about it, and B and Jessica would have conspired with Carl and Davey to try to get Jessica voted off. And you could see how Nick in this episode it's not that he doesn't care for Gabby, he just, doesn't want his alliance of Christian known. So I definitely think Nick would have went along with that vote, and Gabby's whole game could have been blown. So now B's going to be one of these people who cries and whines and moans and acts like a brat the whole game because her best friend's gone, and she basically makes her whole game based around revenge. On the Goliath tribe, John, let me look at my notes here. John thinks that it's good to have the old skill of being able to communicate and having, form bonds with people. And I think that really is essential in the game, because we've been seeing a lot of these winners that a lot of them have been winning because, of course, their game's been good, but also their social game, how they're able to connect with people, and that really gets them far when they're able to connect with everyone on the tribe. Speaking of committing with people, Jeremy seemed this whole episode like he's digging his own grave, because I think the paranoia is kind of getting to him. He's, I don't know, I liked Jeremy at first, but now he just seems like he thinks that everybody's talking about him, and at one point he said he wanted the side conversations to be to a minimum because he thinks that everybody's talking about him, and in his mindset he thinks that if the side conversations are kept to a minimum, it'll keep 10 strong, which you can't just alienate people to not talk to others. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talking. There's going to be a lot of gameplay and making of alliances. And Mike kind of sees this. He's been friends with Jeremy. He's been able to connect with him. Jeremy opened up to Mike about his father having Alzheimer's. And I felt so bad for Jeremy. I mean, you can definitely see why he's out here wanting to play this game. And it was a very heartwarming moment, but also Mike sees that Jeremy is this potential threat moving forward, and how his paranoia kind of clouds his judgment, and he's kind of shooting himself in the foot. So Mike's a bit hesitant to go down with Jeremy, because what could potentially happen is that they could do what they did to Carl. They can vote Mike out because he is Jeremy's closest alliance member, or they could just simply vote off Jeremy and then Mike doesn't have anybody. On the David tribe, Christian and Nick, I gotta say, the Mason-Dixon alliance seems to be, for the most part and for the time being, going strong. Christian apparently loves Slamtown, and he's trying to explain to Gabby what Slamtown is. And again, B is complaining about Gabby. I'm just not even going to talk about that more because it just really ticks me off. And they were talking on a raft about wanting to get Gabby off. And Nick is all for that, as I mentioned before. He's all for, pushing the blame on Gabby and getting her voted off. But they also don't have the votes about Christian. So as Christian then sides with them, they'll be able to get Gabby off. But Gabby and Christian are tight. Unless something comes between them or one of them betrays the other one, I don't see them betraying each other anytime soon. So, yeah, so the immunity challenge is interesting because it's pouring down rain out there, so I have to give these guys credit for being able to not only compete in the Tough Survivor Challenge, but competing in it in torrential downpour. So they had to have one player that would move through out this obstacle. They had to basically move in, out, and out. Like, it was very easy to get yourself tangled up in it. The second part of the challenge, 3 people had to untwist a rope. And the third part of the challenge, they had to do a ring toss to bring this sled forward. And once that was forward, they had to, 2 people had to solve a pyramid puzzle. And the reward was comfort. And that's will come in handy because of all the rain. Everybody's shivering and everything. So now they'll have pillows, blankets, possibly a chair or 2. And the sit-outs are Natalia and Angelina. And this whole challenge, I have to give both tribes credit because it was neck and neck there for a while. And it basically came down to the puzzle. And Christian and Gabby came through and David won. Team David won their first immunity challenge. So congrats on Team David on winning your first immunity challenge. And Natalie says after the challenge that Angelina would have been a stronger choice in that challenge, that she should have been able to participate. And she wants to write Natalie's name down because, as we know, she's been bitching and moaning the whole time that she wants Natalie gone. But if Angelina knew that she was good in the puzzle, why didn't she volunteer herself? She didn't have to sit out. She could have said, hey, I'm good in the puzzle challenge. She could have fought and said, listen, I'm really good at solving puzzles. You need me in this challenge. But instead, she decided to sit out. So, at the David tribe, they're all understandably happy that they won their first immunity challenge. And she's happy. Gabby's happy that her and Christian were able to solve the puzzle. And that does buy Gabby more time because she was public enemy number 1, according to B. And on Goliath, Natalie hates that basically the challenge was lost because of the puzzle, because it was all neck and neck for a while until you got to the puzzle. So she definitely thinks that she's on the chopping block, and she tries to talk to Jeremy, but then Jeremy doesn't think that Natalie has the support going forward to stay on the tribe. And Allison mentions how she thinks that she put her own nail in her coffin because of the way she talks to people. And Angelina, I gotta give Angelina credit this episode because she's thinking really smart, because she sees that Jeremy is the bigger threat over Natalie, because she might come across, and she could be as bossy and pushy, and she could annoy people, but really, who's the whole threat going forward? Jeremy is wanting to talk strategy. He's already trying to weasel his way and try to I wouldn't say try to manipulate people yet, but, he's definitely playing the game hard. Maybe a little bit too hard, one might argue. So Angelina then pitches the idea that Jeremy should go home instead of Natalie. And Mike doesn't want that. That's his closest alliance member. He wants Natalie gone. And the same thing with Natalia. Natalia's wanted Natalie gone since day one. And then it got really intense because Jeremy and Natalie were both arguing because Natalie wanted to talk to Kara and company about keeping her, and Jeremy thought that she was going to be talking about him. Natalie kind of brushed him off and said, I want to talk to these people here. And Jeremy did tell Natalie that she should scramble and she should talk to other people. So Jeremy, I think the parent, I could get where he thought that Natalie might be talking about him, but at the same time, I feel like the paranoia is getting the better of him, and he's kind of shooting himself in the foot here. At Tribal Council, again, talk is how they're all adapting in the rain. And Jeremy then brings up a tribal that Natalie is on the outs and says Natalie doesn't know how to act. And he was very brutal and honest. And Natalie said, it's basically Natalie versus Jeremy, this whole Tribal Council. And Natalie is open to criticism, and she's listening to people about how she can maybe change her behavior and in return get a second chance in the game. And Dan mentions how Natalie can speak down to people, and Allison also has a really good point, saying that your first impression can dig your grave. And I think what she meant by that is, like, your first impression of people is everything out in the island. Like how they see you and how they see you interact with others and how they treat others in return. I mean, how you treat others in return, that can really be damaging, and it could be really hard to give somebody a second chance when they know they have that kind of behavior. And Natalie does pitch the same thing that Angelina said, that she's a 57-year-old senior citizen. Really, how is she a threat going forward? Jeremy is a stronger guy. He will arguably do better in immunity challenges going forward, and he's already strategizing and scrambling, trying to make big moves and get forward in the game. And in the end, it ended up being Jeremy that got sent home. And I definitely see why they got Jeremy off. I think the paranoia did get the better of him, and although Natalie, can be annoying to people, Angelina and Natalie were right. Really, what threat is she to people? She's an easier vote later on. But at the same time, if a tribe swap comes, I don't think Natalie will be Goliath strong. As she told everyone at Tribal Council, if they choose to keep Natalie, she'll promise to be Goliath strong. Like, it would be really funny if they had a tribe swap and Natalia and Natalie are both on the same tribe, because I definitely think that Natalie will be part of Natalia's downfall. And another one of my Survivor friends also brought that up, and I definitely think that'd be funny if that happened. So, yeah, apparently next episode there is, in fact, going to be a tribe swap, so it'll be pretty interesting to see the new tribe dynamics and how everyone adapts to their new living situations. And I'm also wondering how they're going to swap the tribes. Is it going to be just switching the David and Goliaths and, like, mixing them? Or is there going to be a third tribe in there and then they have nothing at camp? That'll be very interesting, and I can't wait for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Survivor. If you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. I hope you guys enjoyed my recap, and until next time, stay regal.